Why can't I ever get something out on time? St. Lucy's Day falls on Friday the 13th this year. I think not. So I decided to make a video showing you guys how to make some delicious saffron buns for St. Lucy's Day, if you so choose, if you're going to be celebrating a day like today. If you do celebrate St. Lucy's Day, what are you doing today? And if not, what kind of holiday traditions do you have? Do you guys have any kind of special foods you like making? I always love to hear about different people's traditions and cultures. So if you do, please let me know in the comment section. Alright, let's get started. To 3/4 of a cup of hot milk, hot, not lukewarm, I'm going to add in half a teaspoon of saffron strands. I'm going to mix and let the milk come down to about lukewarm while letting the saffron infuse into the milk. Now to 4 cups of flour, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of salt, 1/3 of a cup minus a tablespoon of sugar. And this part isn't traditional, but I saw a recipe use this and I've tried it and loved it ever since. I'm going to add a little bit of cardamom, not a lot, just a little. I'm sure the food purists among you might be aghast at the thought of using cardamom in Saint Lucia rolls. Well, you know what? That's okay. If you find that so off-putting, don't do it. While your milk's cooling down, add in a tablespoon of sugar, that tablespoon you reserved, and mix. So I'm going to add in my 1 tablespoon of yeast and mix. And now I'll leave this for 10 minutes for the yeast to get going. Well, that's certainly frothy, so now, oh boy, oh it's jiggly. Make a well in the center of your flour. Add in your frothy yeast saffron milk mix. 2 eggs. 1/3 of a cup of cream. Or you could use sour cream if you want. And lastly, half a cup of butter. And mix. I'm not a great fan of dirtying my hands up unless it's absolutely necessary. So I'm going to hold off on kneading this until I make it into a dough. Just because I hate that swamp hand feeling you get at the beginning. Now that I've got this roughly incorporated dough, I'm going to scrape the spoon and swap the spoon out for my hands. I'm going to knead this until it all comes together. It's going to be a soft dough. It's going to be a soft dough, so don't worry. But if your dough is too soft, to the point where it doesn't form a ball, you might have been using really large eggs. And I would suggest adding a tablespoon or 2 of flour, but not too much, not much more than that, because if you add too much, your dough will be tough and dense. Conversely, if your dough was too dry, you'd probably use a smaller egg, and I would suggest adding a tablespoon or 2 of milk. So we're going to knead this now for 10 minutes to get that gluten going. After 10 minutes, your dough should be nice and smooth and springy. So now, we need to let it proof. Into the bowl it goes. Into the bowl greased with butter it goes. Into a bowl greased with butter it goes. Then it's going to get covered with a tea towel and leave it to prove somewhere slightly above room temperature for 2 hours. And after a couple of hours, your dough should look like this. So I'm going to knock it down.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
I'm going to bring this back together into a ball. I'm going to divide this dough. And once you've got yourself 12 roughly equal blobs of dough, I'm going to move most of them to the side, just sprinkle some flour so they don't stick to the surface. And the most traditional shape is a scroll shape. So what we're going to do is take our piece of dough and just knead it and squidge it all together, roll it out into a rectangular shape. Once you've gotten it into a rough rectangle shape, I'm going to take the edges, fold them all together, pinching this in, then folding it all together, roll it out a little bit. Once you've got a little baton shape, you're going to take alternate ends and kind of curl them into a little S-type shape like that. And there we have the most traditional shape, and I'm going to do this again with all the other rolls. I put my buns on a baking sheet lined with paper, and then covered them and left them for 20 minutes just to give them a second proving. And now, I'm going to brush them beaten egg. And once your buns are glazed, teehee, you're going to press a raisin into each of the spirals. And once everything's raisined, we're going to put these in the oven at 400 degrees for around 12 minutes. And once cooked and cooled, they should be glossy and soft. Look at that. Look how pillowy that is. I don't know why someone chose today of all days to cut all the trees down in their yard, but I'm not a fan of it. And there we have it, saffron buns. This is by no means the exhaustive way to make saffron buns. If you don't like raisins, you can take them out. If you wanted something else, you can add it in. Maybe you want sesame seeds on yours. Maybe you want poppy seeds on yours. It's up to you, because at the end of the day, everyone has their own traditions and ideas of what is what. Remember, this is a dialogue, not a dictation. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Happy Friday the 13th, and all of you celebrating St. Lucy's Day, happy St. Lucy's Day as well. Alright? Peace.